Hello and welcome to In the Weeds. We're recording live from the Picky Weeds Esoteric Occult Boutique, located just south of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, in beautiful South Abington Township. Picky Weeds is the largest and most diverse boutique of its kind in northeast Pennsylvania, with an increasingly wide variety of items for many traditions.
In addition to items for sale, Picky Weeds hosts a wide variety of classes, events, and community-driven gatherings throughout the year. Picky Weeds is located at 105 Layton Road, South Abington Township, PA. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More information can be found at www.pickyweeds.com. That's PICKEYWEEDZ.com, or on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. In the Weeds is the official podcast for Picky Weeds, where we strive to bring the community together with topics of interest, guest speakers, and informative discussions to benefit the entire community.
If you'd like to be a guest speaker, either live or remote call-in, please visit www.pickyweeds.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, find In the Weeds podcast guest application, click it, copy and paste the text into an email with your contact information, and send it to us at pickyweeds@gmail.com.
Now let's get in the weeds. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Season 2, episode 24. Oh my God, where did 2 years go?
I know.
That's freaking insane.
So we're closing in on 4,200 downloads now.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. So I wanted to start out the day with a piece from the Gnostic archive, the Gnostic Gospels, called The Thunder Perfect Mind. And it's really long, so I'm only going to read a brief excerpt. And I want you to understand that when you see the finger over the lips indicating silence, this is what they mean. I also want you to think about Matthew 5:5. You'll see why here in a minute, where it says, do not pray in public like the hypocrites, but go into your closet. It is because the relationship is between you and the divine. And to talk about it publicly, to pray publicly, is to defile that relationship. So I'm going to start. Just kind of follow along with me. It's going to be kind of piecemeal, but it's beautiful, and it's probably my favorite piece in the entire Gnostic Gospels. Oh, here we go. I am the one who has been hated everywhere and who has been loved everywhere. I am the one whom they call life and you have called death. I am the one whom they call law and you have called lawlessness. I am the one whom you have pursued and I am the one whom you have seized. I am the one whom you have scattered and you have gathered me together. I am the one before whom you have been ashamed and you have been shameless to me. I am she who does not keep the festival, and I am she whose festivals are many. I am godless, and I am the one whose God is great. I am the one whom you have reflected upon, and you have scorned me. I am unlearned, and they learn from me. I am the one that you have despised, and you reflect upon me. I am the one whom you have hidden from, and you appear to me. But whenever you hide yourselves, I myself will appear. For whenever you appear, I myself will hide from you. And so I can't help but see, is it Crowley with his finger to his lips? Mm. I can't help but see that.
To know, to dare, to keep silent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, because anything else is defamatory. And I've been thinking about all the elders. John and I were talking pretty much at length about the elders in the pagan community and the religious communities around us that are like the Lima, Hermetics, things like that, that have been trying to pull a consensus of people together and seemingly don't understand why they can't.
Well, I was talking. You were telling me to get back in the kitchen.
I was. Get back in the kitchen and make my breakfast.
Make me a sandwich.
For I am she.
Okay.
I am death, a poisoner. Oh my God.
Shut up and make me a sandwich. Get back in the kitchen.
I was like, dude, I'm trying to read. And anytime he's trying to read, if I'm trying to talk to him, he's a grouch.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He has no blooming excuse to even get upset about it. But yeah.
I'm too busy in the kitchen.
Yeah, get in the kitchen. Did you clean it afterwards?
Sure.
No, you didn't. You left it for me. You tell the people the truth.
I cleaned it. May not be Virgo clean, but it's clean.
It's not clean at all. So these elders are around us, and we read it all the time, and we hear it, and they sit here and they tell us how they've been trying to pull a consensus together and form a federation, like a pagan federation, or just pull any group together, and they complain how it's about like herding cats. And this morning I said, elders speaking about aligning as in a pagan federation for political reasons, they fail to understand that aligning under a religious umbrella is the antithesis of why we all chose to become a pagan. Yeah. Okay? We become pagan because we want that autonomy of self-governance. We want the boot of ideology or religious control off our necks. We will be our own gods.
Yep, exactly.
This is why pagan organizations fail repeatedly, guys. So what we have to do is align under a philosophy of autonomy, because not one of us will align and accept the religious control of a theology. We will not abide being under the will and control of another. Thus, we always end up infighting, somebody always trying to take control, and every one of these so-called pagan organizations is doomed to fail because everybody wants control. Yep. But that's the reason being is because that's the wholeness of this path, is that we want to be under our own control. We want to be our own gods. Mm-hmm. The elders have failed to understand the very essence of why we choose the path, because they're driven by the fear that we're going to lose our rights. It's a valid fear. It is a valid fear. But they seem to be blinded to the fact that organizational structure means the loss of the very autonomy that we all chose the path for. So what's the answer? I think we all align under a philosophy of self-governance, a philosophy of being able to maintain and control our own will. And that's exactly what the Seven Mountains Mandate, Project 2025, and the Heritage Foundation want us to not have, is that autonomy. They want us to all be Christian fundamentalists.
The problem is whenever you have someone that steps up to be a leader, you have to kind of look at their motives too.
Yes, absolutely.
Because,
is it a guru complex?
Yeah. I mean, even the elder generation I see all the time, somebody who could be a force for good, for change, for someone that all the thousands of people that have turned away from Abrahamic religions or monotheistic religions, that is just looking to an elder for guidance.
Yes.
Just simple questions. And if they ask those questions, they get berated.
Yeah. Or they get politicized.
And inevitably the elder will slip in their opinions on society or politics or things that really have no bearing on the conversation.
Absolutely.
And it devolves at that point and it devolves you as a potential leader or a person to look to for guidance. We should be able to look to our elders for guidance. They've been doing this far longer than we have and have gone through way more than we have.
But they should be elder enough to understand the very context of to dare to know. Yeah. And there are things that are not for others' ears.
Well, and also the behavior illustrates what not to do.
Yes, it absolutely does. It's really astounding, isn't it?
Everyone has their own personal opinions about a variety of topics today.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and sometimes they all stink.
Mm-hmm. Cliche bomb.
Yeah, cliche bomb.
Yeah. But it's true.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is the elder who you would look to then spouts off on some controversial shit, and you're like, okay, well,
it's either misogynistic or freaking religious beyond imagining that someone in our sphere of reference would be overly a zealot, but they're there.
Yeah.
Or it's overly political.
You're missing the entire point.
Yeah.
Of spirituality.
Yeah.
And okay, so the young people screw things up. They mispronounce things, or they don't know their histories the way that they should.
Yeah.
Well, instead of berating them publicly,
lead them to source material. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean having it on a website.
No.
That means being active.
Yeah.
And proactive, and not someone who's unapproachable.
Exactly.
And when you're unapproachable because people fear ridicule.
Yeah.
or they're afraid that if they say something to you, they're going to be the topic of the next post.
Yeah. It's absolutely awful. Yeah, it is.
It's detrimental.
And don't think, and I know this too, and I know that they're looking at my private social media because a lot of my clients and customers are my friends as well. Don't think they're not looking at that, guys, and don't think they're not concerned by what they see there, and they're not judging you based upon the content, because it is the content of your character.
It ruins the message.
It does. It absolutely does.
You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Are you going to stand on a political soapbox for your specific beliefs?
Yes.
And damn everybody that doesn't agree with you as stupid.
Or ridicule them as being stupid for thinking that it's something that it's not, when in all actuality it is, and you can see it in your Supreme Court. And that really bothers me.
Or are you actually going to look in the mirror and take a good, long, hard, honest look and, okay, maybe there's another way.
This is why I hate political or religious identity.
Yeah.
Because anytime you align yourself with that process and go, well, my family was always Democrat, so I have to vote that way, or my family was always Republican, so I have to vote that way, and you don't look at the evils of the organization under which you're flying your flag, and you become that self-damning influence to everything around you.
And it's so easy. And I get it. I've been guilty of being angry at stupidity and like throwing my hands and say, fuck it, because people just want the easy answers and they just want someone to do the work for them.
Yes.
And it's very frustrating as someone who has put in...
Well, damn it, I want somebody to do my house cleaning in my yard,
too. A modicum of work to have somebody that just wants to cherry pick. And the worst is the cherry pick talking points so that you can win arguments.
Yes.
You don't really know the material. You're just cherry picking topics and
pulling them out of thin air and
trying
spouting
to
them off.
prep for online arguments so you sound smart and educated and studied. And I get the frustration of the elders that have put in the work and they put in serious time over the years of work. And it's really easy to get jaded and frustrated and angry and lash out.
And let your ugly come out,
because if you, just for example, you type in metaphysical store, most people expect what they're going to see when they walk in because, quite frankly, 99% of them are cookie cutter, all the same shit.
Yeah.
Hence the reason we founded Picky Weeds to begin with.
To be completely different.
We were tired of the cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And, people try to copy us and failed. Because they all had this new age look that's what it was supposed to be, and they missed the forest for the trees.
Yes.
But that's a result of actually practicing for years and years and years, having friends across different traditions, learning from them, maybe not to become an adherent to their practice, but to at least appreciate the cultural distinction.
Or to understand them better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
And an appreciation of it.
That's part of my whole point in being here is to understand people better.
You can appreciate something without trying to take it over.
Yes.
You can appreciate the beauty of, say, Santeria.
Yeah.
Without being an adherent.
No, the beauty of Christianity without being a hater.
Absolutely.
Like Charlie the other night. Thank you, Charlie. Best conversation I've had in a long time.
Yeah, we had a new customer. She was absolutely amazing, and every bit the elder.
2.5 hour conversation.
But like no condescension or ego, just straight up salt of the earth, amazing person.
Absolute light.
And has been through the trials of life and come out the other side bruised and battered, but
beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It was an incredible experience. And those are the kind of things that we live for here.
Yeah.
Is to meet those kind of people, and not just those kind of people. We like meeting the new people too, and the excitement and the they're glowing because they're in the midst of an awakening, and that's great. And some of the conversations they have, and seeing them meet others of like mind, and realizing that they're not all alone in the world.
Yeah.
And then they listen to one of our jaded elders.
God, and they run like hell, and I'm like,
they're like, and look, jaded elders, I get it. I do. I really do. I get the frustration. But we have to temper ourselves, too, and remember that maybe lecturing isn't always the only answer. Sometimes it's the answer. Sometimes people need a good lecture.
Yeah.
But sometimes maybe they just need someplace where they can learn from you, not from a website, from you. And learning in how you interact with people when maybe you think the spotlight's not on. it counts too.
And there's been a few that I've sent to certain organizations that have come away with their tails on fire and just absolutely disgusted. And I hate when that happens because the knowledge there is so deep and incredible, but the ideology there is anything but deep.
Yeah. And look,
it's a pit.
Politics is extremely divisive right now, to the point that, again, it's looking like an Atwood novel. Mm-hmm. And people have a tendency to brush it off, to say you're fear-mongering or you're running away. But I don't get worked up over rhetoric.
No.
Everyone can say whatever, and that's just your talking point, your opinion.
It's your dog whistle.
My concern comes with action.
Yeah.
And the reason I have such concern right now is the actions, to use English.
Yes.
The actions by the Supreme Court, the actions by
legislators,
local and state governments across the country.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the slow march of fascism.
Yes.
And I get it. Okay, everybody was frustrated and angry with the other side pushing what they felt was their agenda. Look, all these people want to do is a right to exist and be seen.
Yeah.
And
we all tend to take it too far as humans.
Yes,
we do.
Some took
Both
it
sides.
too far.
Yeah.
And now we have a pushback.
Yeah.
The pendulum is being pushed back hard. And honestly, neither one of them is correct.
No.
And I think everyone has a right to love who they love and to exist as who they are, whatever they identify as. I don't care. It's no skin off my back.
No.
What you identify as. If it makes you happy and fulfilled and you feel like you're living your real life, great.
Yeah.
Don't legislate it, though.
Yeah.
Legislate the right to exist.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Freedom.
But don't legislate everyone has to say things or be a certain way.
Because that's not freedom.
And then on the other side, the reaction now is legislation of a Abrahamic religious value, a very fundamentalist version of that.
And that's treason.
And that's not Christianity as I know it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an extremely fundamentalist family, and some of them do fall into that description. And
ditto.
And I thought they were nuts when I was 12. I think they're nuts when I'm 53.
Yeah.
But it's their right to live how they want to live.
Just not to legislate for the rest of us to live under that.
When you start passing laws that people can be fined or lose their freedom over, or you're legislating other people's bodies based on your religious beliefs, that's a problem.
Yes.
You can believe whatever you want, and you can talk amongst each other in your little group, and if that's how you want to believe. But the minute you start to make that law for everyone, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big, big problem, and it needs to stop.
And can I ask you all to do what I've been attempting to do lately, because I see it working. And I'm very pleased to say that my ability to stand dead center of both parties and be an extreme centrist and an extreme stoic about this has let me speak to people about what my fears are, and they've been able to speak to me about theirs. And some of them have been absolutely shocked. They didn't even know the Supreme Court did this.
No.
They didn't know that certain states had done these things, had put these legislations into place, and they weren't aware that they were doing it under the moniker of Republican. It's not Republican. I was a Republican. It's not Republican. It's the antithesis of Republican. Republicans are all about liberty. Yes, we were conservative, but we were conservative for a different reason, and they've twisted conservatism into something very ugly.
Yeah.
We were conservative when I was younger, and we lived in a democratic state that was extremely racist. It was Jesse Helms. Look it up. It was extremely, extremely racist with Helms and Thurmond. And so we were really proud to be Republicans because that meant that you conserve something for the future, that you conserve money so you can help your neighbors, that you can help other farms, you can help other people in crisis around you. And we were really proud to be those people. And then the party flipped again. The party continually flips. This is the trick of not the parties themselves, but the people behind the party, the money behind the party to do this. And so when the Tea Party came in, I left the party, and I went Democratic for a little while. And then I saw how they impinged on our family business. with laws and regulations that impeded our ability to do business. And then I saw it again in COVID. I've been independent now for years because of seeing that nanny state that the Republicans all complain about, while I'm for the liberal freedoms that party is for. Absolutely 100%. I am not for the constriction and the control.
No.
And the absolute overreach of the nanny state in any way, shape, or form. And on the Republican side, they never were the racist party until the Tea Party came in. I want to remind you that they were the party that was for the Republic and for which she stands. So I want you to sit down and I want you to have a conversation and stop damning each other because you're either Republican or Democrat, and have a real conversation that starts like the one I had recently. You know what scares me? What scares me is fetal personhood. Mm-hmm. And they were like, what is that? And I was like, okay, so they're saying in their little fact checkers that they're not anti-abortion on the full, like across the board. Oh, yeah, they are. That's just a cover. Mm-hmm. Because although they don't use the words, ban abortion outright, they say, let's give fetal personhood and let's make that a legislation that fetus has rights from conception as a full human. Okay, so if the mother loses the baby, she can be charged for the death of the child. If she, say, drank the wrong thing and didn't realize it had an abortifacient in it, she can go to prison. There's a lot of teas out here that you buy right on the market that do have abortifacients in it. And if you're in a weakened condition, normally you would have to drink a whole lot of them to abort a fetus, okay? But if your body's already in a weakened condition, you already have a troubled pregnancy, that can cause an immediate abortion, okay? If you got the flu because you weren't taking care of yourself, and listen, this is what the courts are going to be there to do, to prove that you weren't taking good care of yourself and that you put the life of the fetus in danger and the baby died, then you can be charged and you can be imprisoned. So these are the things that scare me. The other things that scare me is immunity for the president. He who is supposed to uphold the law should not be immune to the law. Period. What you're setting yourself up for is a dictatorship. That terrifies me. It means that if I speak out against him, he can send the military after me. He can have me imprisoned.
And people will scoff at that and they'll say, oh, you're being an alarmist. Yeah. Oh, that's never going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It does happen. Mm-hmm.
Remember you said that.
Look at these other countries where it absolutely happens. Yeah. You can't speak against the king and you can't speak against the dictator, or it's off with your head in those countries.
And I think
that's exactly what they want.
A lot of what people need to remember is that when you're voting, you're not necessarily voting for that individual. Okay? Mm-hmm. People get caught up in the figurehead, whether they like this figurehead or the other figurehead. What you're voting for is the administration behind them.
Yes, and the money behind them.
Granted, the Supreme Court just handed that figurehead a whole bunch of authority and latitude. But it's the administration that is working behind the scenes, the ones that put them in office, and the ones that are going to be pushing policies and other things that they're trying to get across.
The ones with the money.
So remember, we're all like, oh, Biden's too old and he doesn't know where he's at. And that may be true. Okay.
However.
But the administration, although not perfect by any means, they're not the ones trying to put you in a red cloak and a hood.
Yeah.
You know, the other is a bumbling idiot.
The other side of it is taking away our voting rights again, women.
Bumbling idiot, con man. There's a host of adjectives. We could call that fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Who is destroyed.
But he's honestly not the problem.
No, the problem are the people behind the scenes.
Yes.
And everybody gets wrapped up into the speaking engagements and the rallies and the television appearances and the quotes and the sound bites. The people that aren't talking, the people that are quiet,
those are the ones you need to worry about.
That's where your attention needs to go. And that's what you need to remember in the voting booth. Don't focus on the figurehead so much. Focus on the driving force behind them. Focus on Congress.
Yeah. Focus on Congress. Make sure you're putting rational, level-headed, decent, well-meaning people for the Republic in those seats.
Yeah.
Be they Republican, be they Libertarian, be they Independent, be they Democratic. You need to look at them and ask yourself, when the money comes waving, are they going to give away my rights?
Yeah.
Are they going to give them away?
Because there's so much corruption.
On both damn
It's
sides.
astounding. We love to point fingers at so-called third world countries and look at all the corruption and you can't. The federales at the border are going to do this, that, and the other.
The federales are us.
And the corruption here is so widespread and so ingrained and so in depth, and I don't think half the public realizes.
No.
And it doesn't matter what party. They're all so utterly corrupt because loopholes have been left in by them to exploit. And so we need some honest representation because no taxation without representation.
And we have some of the worst health care in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and that excuse of Obamacare was an abomination.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
No.
I mean, pre-existing conditions, okay.
Yeah,
I'll give you that
that's
one.
Fine.
But forcing people to buy health insurance at those rates, and they advertise them as low. No, they're not low.
They're not low.
We haven't been able to afford health insurance, and we're business owners.
Yes, for 2 years I've been without health insurance because it cost me $19,000 1 year.
I mean, and they tout that as, the Republicans are going to get rid of Obamacare. Good.
Yeah.
It was a bag of shit.
Here's the warning. If you're in business and you're looking at insurance, make sure you've got a good accountant. We've got one now. Thank you, Josh. We love you. But if you don't, you can get your personal tied up with your business, and anybody that's in business, and especially in the first 5 years, knows that business is not making any money. You're putting all that money back into the business.
Absolutely.
So you're not putting any of that in your pocket if you've got any common sense at all. And you're just getting your personal, what little bit you give yourself. And I think I pay myself less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah, just enough to cover the bills.
Yeah, and so if I got charged against the business by the government because of the way my accountant did my taxes.
Not our current one.
Yeah. And I ended up having to pay back in $19,000 my first year in business.
Yeah.
$19,000. And so that's how expensive this insurance is.
Took us a year and a half to pay that off.
And not even to mention that I had the insurance and I went to get an x-ray. And they didn't bother to tell me that my x-ray technician or my nurse was not in network, that they were traveling. And I ended up not only paying my copay, but having to pay $3,000 back. So what I could have paid less if I just paid out of pocket cash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it didn't do anything for the common person.
Yeah, not at all.
And if it happened to help somebody, I'm glad it did. But it certainly didn't help us.
I mean, for the truly low income, I think it's a good deal.
Maybe,
but
I don't know. Their rates are so expensive.
Yeah. But they don't even. A lot of them don't even have a copay. So it's like it covers a really impoverished portion of society.
I'm all for that.
But for the rest of the society, it really does nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not what we wanted to start with.
No.
We don't mind paying higher taxes if we're covered and we have a non-privatized free health care.
If we're getting a return on that investment.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is taxes keep going up and we're not having any returns. I mean, you look at road taxes and infrastructure here and how you still can't read half the street signs in Scranton. Yeah. And they've made some improvements. I mean, there's construction frickin' everywhere.
But it's awful. And it's constant. So what does that tell you about the quality?
I'm looking at the work. And I mean, I'm no expert, but you close the road down on Grove Street. What?
3 months ago, something like that?
2 months ago, I think.
Yeah, and they've done nothing.
There's been nothing. There's no work at all. Well, it's going to take 2 years. Well, if you don't do anything, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And then where's the oversight? Why aren't I project managed hundreds of capital projects at the same time?
They're stretching the contract is what they're doing, and the county's letting them get away with it.
You don't have any oversight over these contracts?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
When I was in charge of the company's money, we got our money's worth.
Yeah.
And there was no slacking around. And I know that there's way better project managers than me out there that could do that job. And I don't understand why it's just corruption everywhere.
It's insane.
And the average person gets inundated with it and they shut down.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not even
going to And then they don't even get
in
the process. We have one kid.
That's what they want.
Tell us recently, I'm not even going to vote.
Yeah.
Well, you're one of the marginalized classes that's going to lose all your rights if the wrong party gets in.
Yeah.
Because they're coming after transgender, gay, lesbian.
Yeah.
They're coming after you
All
if
our
you
friends.
read Project 2025.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the newly redacted version. We have the old version. John has downloaded. If you want to see it, he was afraid they would take it down, so he downloaded it. But it's kind of incredible the amount of obfuscation going on. Well, that's not what it says. No, maybe that's not what it says exactly at that point, but you need to read the whole thing. You need to read the whole thing because it's buried in there. And you can read their ideologies at the beginning of the thing and see exactly where it's going, because they kind of introduce themselves to you in each section, who they are, what their aims are, what the writings are all about, and give you an overview of their fascist ideology.
Well,
right away. I mean, right away.
You've heard the excuse. Well, that's not his agenda. That's something that a think tank came up with.
They all worked for him
And-
in his previous administration.
You know, and then you look at the Agenda 47, and it's just a paraphrased
Yes.
Cliff Notes.
What is it? What is that? They used to use the
It's a
Cliff
much
Notes
less
version.
professional version. The 2025 is a very professionally done document.
Yeah.
These are not stupid
Although
people.
I found a lot of contextual problems, a lot
Right,
of grammatical
but
problems.
in comparison to whatever the fuck wrote that shit.
I'm like,
and we
they're
both
making
know
up
who did that.
words.
But these are intelligent people.
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
people that are, well spoken. They're slick. Their message is slick.
Yeah.
It's a well-oiled machine, and that's one thing that people really need to take note of. One side is very organized.
I get it.
One side is very organized. One side is united in everything.
Yeah.
And it's a drive.
And they stay on message.
And the other side can't figure out who they want to run 4 months out.
Yeah, right?
And they're deriding their own campaign and just stepping on their fucking feet every second. And then the American people see that and I'm like, you guys don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah. It's a cluster F.
It's abysmal. And then you have those of us in marginalized communities going, what the fuck?
Abandon all hope ye who enter in.
And I would love to see the Google search data on leaving the states to go elsewhere.
I've talked to so many people that are talking about it.
Because where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can go to France and England now they're safe for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Who knows what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
And this push for fascist ideology.
Doesn't end here. Yeah.
And you have people that are defending it.
Yeah.
That don't quite understand what happened.
Yeah.
After the Reichstag fire.
They do understand. That's the terminally evil problem inherent herein. They want that back. They want that control. They think that they're the super race, Yeah.
Meal Team 6.
Yeah. Who burns in the sun? I'm sorry, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Who turns blue when you can't breathe?
And everybody gets caught up in the this guy or that guy argument.
Yeah.
And it's a much bigger conversation.
That's a whole host of people who actually want it that way, that are pushing this. They actually do want it that way. They want to return to the novel Nazi regime, and they love that power and that control and that for nobody to have any say in anything, and they get to make all the rules and make all the plays and have all the fun stuff. That's the problem. There is an evil ideology behind it,
and it's always the ones that weren't good enough to make the team.
Yeah.
That the girls rejected for being a dork.
They never got picked for kickball.
And it always seems to be somebody, or a spoiled rich kid that always got his way.
Yeah.
Never had any consequences for any action and gets to do whatever they want, however they want.
Or his ex took him for a ride in divorce court.
Yeah.
And now they want to take away, what is it? No fault divorce.
I mean,
and they've taken it away in 23 states.
I feel like I'm becoming Mike Myers' dad, and so I married an axe murderer over here.
It's the Bilderbergs.
The Pentaverates.
The Pentaverates.
I'll not eat your chicken. He puts an addictive chemical in it, makes you crave it day and night. I'll not eat your chicken. I feel like that. Because
I do too. I feel like we're living in idiocracy, personally. Oh.
And the collective wool being pulled over people's eyes and getting them angry and worked up on things that are small parts of the bigger problem.
Yeah.
And we really need to look at the bigger problem. The bigger problem is the administrations that are pushing this.
Yeah.
And the legal bribery of so-called lobbyists should never be allowed. Insider trading, Nancy Pelosi and her millions of dollars. And I guarantee you could throw a rock and hit 30 of them that are doing this
and
shit.
the ones crafting this legislation. If you go and you look at the organizational structure of the people behind the Heritage Project and the Heritage Project themselves, they're a 5013C. It is illegal for them to get involved in politics, and it's doubly illegal for them to craft legislations or craft a policy mandate for a president.
Yeah.
Illegal per our own laws. And they're so lawless and so vile, they're just flying right in everybody's face with it.
And thanks to our TikTok kids that started a movement of reporting them to the IRS.
But I've seen no movement on it.
But it's like fighting smoke. These people have been doing this for decades.
You wave your hand at it, it dissipates.
And you keep shining a light on it, and it keeps moving. But we got to keep shining the light. And I know there's a lot of people listening. Well, look, I just wanted to learn how to banish stuff in my house. What are these people talking about? Believe me, I would love to talk about that subject matter.
But we won't be here if we don't talk about this.
This is really very important that people really wrap their heads out, less than 4 months away, and understand.
Yeah.
Understand what you're voting for.
Yeah.
And is it perfect? No. Did we want either one of these people? I didn't.
No, I don't.
I don't like either one of them.
No choice is no choice.
I think they're both terrible.
Yeah.
But one has got a whole fascist regime behind him.
Yeah.
The other one has a nanny state.
I really don't think he's smart enough to know it.
And he's a disposable hero.
Yes.
Which
is why they chose J.D. Vance behind him.
All they need is to get the control of the office.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they need. It doesn't
really matter. And when they're done with him, they'll dispense with him.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a useful idiot.
Yeah.
And I wish people could see the bigger picture, and I hope that they do. And I know there's a lot of smart people out there, smarter than me.
I wish he could see it. They let him say outlandish things because the outlandish things turns heads.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I get it.
I would love to talk about the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I would love to talk about folk magic. I would love to do that. This is a pagan podcast. We're pagans. This is a pagan store. I would love to do that. Unfortunately, we're in the crosshairs, and you have people going, oh, they're just being alarmist. Oh, it's fear. Oh, they're just blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's true. However,
I'm alarmed.
It's gone beyond rhetoric.
Yeah.
You have Supreme Court decisions, landmark decisions, precedents of 40, 50 years being thrown out the window. That warrants a closer look. That warrants people paying attention. That warrants talking about it openly, often.
Yes.
Sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, but I don't give a shit. People need to talk about this. They need to know it.
And let me tell you why. Because those 5 justices, they sat in their confirmation hearings and they testified that they understand precedent and that they would not overturn anything that had precedent. They perjured themselves. The first thing they overturned precedent on was 40 years of precedent with Roe v. Wade. Or 50 years of precedent with Roe v. Wade. And 40 years of precedent with the Chevron deference. They immediately took it within their hands to dismantle your government and to take away your checks and balances by overturning precedent. So they perjured themselves. They lied on the stand.
Yeah, and so those calling us alarmist, or those of us, saying, well, they're just, it's just fear. They're not really going to, dude, they're paving the way.
They did, absolutely.
They've laid the foundations.
Yeah. Yes.
This is how you do it. You do it slowly. What was that analogy today of taking one link at a time out of the dog's chain until all of a sudden they realizes there's no more links left?
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
They never realize it.
And we're not trying to scare you.
Yeah.
It scares us too.
Yeah.
So what do? You fucking vote.
Yes.
And somebody said the other day, I said I wasn't going to vote. My friends all jumped on me. And normally that would be wrong.
Yes.
Right? Because it's just about whatever, politics. This one wants bridges and roads. This one wants more military budget. This one wants this, that, whatever. Okay. That's a political conversation. This is not. This goes beyond politics.
Way beyond.
This is beyond Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. It transcends all of it. This is not a political conversation anymore.
Yeah, they're trying to make you a prisoner in your relationships. Okay, a prisoner to whomever you marry because they want that nuclear family they talk about so much.
Whoever you get pregnant.
Yeah,
whether that's by rape or anything. Yeah. Oh no, you have to stay with the rapist and raise the baby.
Yeah, because he's the genetic father. Yes,
we did read the entire 900 plus page document.
Yes, we did, and I'm going through it my second time for rebuttals. So the thing about no fault divorce, I don't think some of you realize. I know a lot of the younger people aren't going to recognize that terminology. But no fault divorce means that when you're tired of the relationship, you can get a divorce and you don't need a reason. You can just, have the papers filed and everybody's signed it and everybody's free. But the other side who have been sued by women for their mistreatment or men by their mistreatment and they're wealthy, because men have sued some pretty wealthy women too and come away with some big chunks of change. In those states, they had common law. And in common law, it says you get 50% of the property that was accrued during the marriage. And so they will come away with their part, and they should. You're part and participle of a marriage. You've put just as much work into it, whether you stayed home and took care of the kids in the house.
Absolutely.
You've put just as much work into that marriage and making that profitable for whomever was outside the home working, giving them the space and the time and the energy to do it by keeping up with the home. And so you should be due at least half of the merits of that, okay? Half of the profits of that. Well, in a no-fault divorce state, that's all well and good, but in 23 states there is no fault divorce anymore. This is the shit they've done behind your back under the cover of darkness for the last few decades. And it says that a judge must decide if you have a reason to leave the marriage. And you've got to prove that the marriage was abusive and untenable. And if it's a very, very right-wing Christian fundamentalist like we're talking about here, and these are Christian nationalists, they don't even resemble a Christian, then if you're a wife, you're a property. You're a property, and you must put up with the tenuous relationship no matter how dangerous, no matter how damning it is, because the man rules. Okay, and they want to drag the women back to the earlier part of last century where we couldn't even get a credit card without our husband's signature. We couldn't vote. We couldn't work outside the home. So that's what they want. That's the ideal, the little house on the prairie ideal that these evil shits have. And they've already put that law into effect in so many states. So that gives you an idea of what's behind the scenes here. And they've done it slowly, very, very slowly over the last decade since the Reagan years. Think about that. When you put a frog in cold water and you turn up the temperature, the frog doesn't notice that it's getting hot. And you boil them to death. They don't jump out. They don't save themselves. And you're the frog.
Yep. Yeah. The best thing that we can do is to vote. And people go, well, my vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
And we preach this over and over, especially in local and state elections. Yeah, the Electoral College is a bunch of bullshit that they manipulate. But it doesn't matter. You still need to vote.
You still need to vote for the legislators you want to see.
Vote for, if you don't really feel like you care, vote for your friends.
Yes.
Most of all of us have friends in the LGBTQI community. Most all of us know somebody that's trans, knows somebody that's pagan, knows somebody
that's female.
That's female. Vote for them too. Yet, I just, the fear that I have seen on people's faces when they walk in, and these are very strong, very intelligent, grounded, strong people that are truly afraid. And I have not seen that since the 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the 80s was as bad as
what they're planning
as it is now.
Yeah.
It really is that important. It's not a passing thing. So if you are not registered to vote, please get registered to vote. And please vote. Vote for yourself, your family, your friends. Vote for the marginalized people. Vote against tyranny, because this is exactly what this is. You can call it fear-mongering all you want from your safe space where you are not one of the marginalized.
But you are a mind-blind person.
If you are a straight, white, male follower of an Abrahamic faith, you feel like everyone is panicking, and it's nothing because it doesn't affect you personally.
Exactly.
But trust me, it will, because your Abrahamic faith may not be acceptable to those in charge at some point. And then you will be looped in with all the rest of us in this community. And then you'll be mad, and then it's too late.
And you will be expected to carry out heinous acts against your neighbors.
We need our elders to set the tone and to help drive this towards success. Instead of critiquing everything, be a force of positive change. Be someone that these kids can look up to for guidance and not ridicule.
Yeah.
You have to. And I'm not, there's many elders that I'm thinking of, not just one person. I've seen elder after elder after elder turn into Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. And I probably have too at some point. But we all need to realize that there are young kids coming into this path, or young kids that maybe not even on this path, that need direction, and they need leadership and guidance. And you don't need an organization to do that. You just need yourself to put yourself out there and help and be what Mr. Rogers said, be the helper.
Yeah.
Be somebody there. Because the critiques and the snark is great for the internet clicks.
Yeah.
But we really need our elders to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Instead of jeering from the sidelines.
And I need you to stop. I need both sides to stop trying to control the other and trying to control the people in between. And remember that we are supposed to be about liberty. That's what the country was founded on. We were trying to liberate ourselves from a church, the Church of England, who had literally had their boot on our necks. We're literally hanging people, putting them on the rack, burning people. You know, this is awful, folks, that we're even thinking about returning to this because our historical memory is so short.
I had a ancestor of mine that was in the Warsaw Ghetto.
Yeah.
Died there.
Yes.
One of my ancestors, I'm the 13th direct descendant of Samuel Fuller, who was the physician that came over on the Mayflower.
Yep.
This kind of standing against
tyranny,
and fighting tyranny and dying for it even
is a tradition
in
your
the
family.
Blood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I hate to keep seeing history repeating itself over and over again, because the elders that should be leading the charge and being the loudest voice in the room, someone we can rally to, are instead falling prey to the same talking points and
same
propaganda.
Dog whistles, yeah.
And you're failing us.
Yeah.
You're failing us. It's not a personal attack. I don't engage in ad hominem attacks. This is a failing. And stop. We need you to lead the way. We need your experience. We need your knowledge. There are people that come in this store and they start talking, and it's a free lesson.
Yeah.
Right? But then they'll post on the internet some of the most heinous shit.
Yeah.
And do it for clicks.
Yeah.
And it's wrong.
Or for shock value.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
We need our elders.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we can all collectively bitch about the youth not wanting to put the work in. That's true of every youth. It was true of us when we were kids too. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
When we were in our 20s, we weren't exactly, scholars.
I was interested in getting high and making good money.
Sure. Yeah. Like any 20-year-old, 20-something, 30-something is. We recognize that. That's normal.
Yeah, that's part of the growing process.
We need the people over 50 to really stand up and see this for what it is. It is not a political conversation.
No.
This is right or wrong, life or death.
Yes.
And believe it or not, think that we're over-dramatizing this. We're really not.
Yes.
Oh, that document's never going to happen. Okay.
It did happen.
Okay. The
Supreme Court saw to it.
Roe is never going to get overturned.
It happened.
The
Supreme Court saw to it.
I am so frustrated because you look at the people that should be there, and we're talking brilliant people.
Yeah.
Look, I know your credentials, and you have every right to be proud of them because they're earned by blood, sweat, and tears. But you degrade your position when all you do is critique without any guidance. And it doesn't need to come from an organization or membership dues or a lodge. It needs to come from you taking part in your community and being very active in it. We have less than 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay? And then hopefully mid-November we can talk about lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and maybe we can have you on to talk about more advanced things.
Yeah.
Because we love to learn from you, and we love you to death.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. It's not a personal attack.
Not at all.
But really need our elders.
I really admire the learnedness, the education, the willingness to share that. And I just want to say that out loud and just love you to bits. But please stop with the political rhetoric. It's not helping.
No.
It's divisive.
You see it all over. It's not just in this area. It's all over. You know, one of our other folks was like, you know, this is why we can't ever have a pagan organization, because everybody wants to come in and be the boss. And they're right.
Yes. But
that was what our point was just prior here in this very conversation, is that we need to unite under philosophy.
Yeah.
Don't expect anyone to change their practice for you.
No.
Everyone's practice is personal. That's not part of this conversation.
Yeah.
That's not what we're trying to do, to dictate to you how to practice.
Yeah.
We're not trying to dictate anything, but unite people under a common philosophy banner.
And I'm trying to make you understand the only way you're ever going to have a free republic is when you start to leave people alone. I know you think you're trying to protect the innocent. Protect the innocent when they're yours. You know, that's fine. But you don't know what's in the other person's heart or what's in the other person's life path, that you might be hurting them by trying to protect what you think you should protect. You have no right to hurt them either. Back off. See to your own. Take care of people when they ask you for it. You know in this path that if they don't ask 2 or 3 times, we don't open the doors to them. That's always been the rule. The covens have always been closed. The organizations have always been closed. You had to ask repeatedly. Apply that same logic to life.
Yeah.
If they don't ask you for it, don't stick your nose in it.
Yeah.
If you see them bleeding, sure, stop and help staunch the blood flow. But don't get in their personal business unless they ask you. And that's the problem with both sides. You're all up in everybody's personal business trying to tell them how to live their lives and what their rights and wrongs should be and what their moral code should be, and you have no idea what they've been through.
Because you're basing it on your own.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You got to remember everybody's an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Every man and woman's a star.
That's what makes us beautiful.
You know, and people come in the store and they're like, I need a solution for this issue. Okay, well, what's the issue? Okay, and how do you feel about it? Okay, well, can you do work for me? No, we don't do that.
Mm-mm.
We don't do that. I find it incredibly disingenuous, and that's not to say that money should never change hands. I mean, I think readers, tarot readers, and stuff and healers, there should be an exchange, and it could be as little as $1. It definitely doesn't need to be in the hundreds of dollars. That's just greed. But as far as personal practice goes, this is all your personal thing, and you're a growing, living, thriving spirit, learning new things. You use that spirit to guide you.
Yes.
And is the spirit wrong sometimes? Absolutely. That's how we learn. You get experience by screwing up, not by getting it right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. We all make tons and tons of mistakes all the time. You know, we're human.
But those are gifts.
But look at those as opportunities for growth and learning. Mm-hmm. I tell people, like, everything in the store is a tool. Is not magical in and of itself. Just because a crystal has known properties that you can look up in Agrippa and see what, the traditional properties are, doesn't mean it's inherently magical all on its own. It's a tool for you to enhance.
Yeah.
Think of it as creating a culinary dish without any seasonings or anything. Very beige mode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, it's edible. And, it kind of tastes okay if you're not from the South. But add the seasonings to it, and it transforms itself into something even bigger. And so those are the things that we sell.
Yeah.
They're supplements, if you will.
Yeah.
Something that enhances your practice, something that makes it stronger, because it's stronger for you.
Yes.
Doesn't mean everybody else has to do the same thing.
No, and you shouldn't be ceding your will to somebody else.
Never.
And that's if you're paying somebody to do spell work for you.
Yeah.
you're buying their energy too. And then that energy gets entangled with yours. And you can really screw your life up.
Yeah, unfortunately, with any faith or practice tradition, there are a sect of people that are just trying to get your money.
Yes, they're going to lay them hands on you for them donations.
This is not strictly a pagan metaphysical thing. It does happen a lot.
Yes.
But Abrahamic religions are rife with it. You know,
politics is rife with it.
Politics is rife with it. Corruption needs to be rooted out.
Yes.
You know, and we have excised so many instances of corruption from here because we take it very seriously, and we take the safety of our community very seriously. And we've been fooled before too. You know, we're human.
Plenty of times.
Well, we try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know, and
I've been a little more staunch against that lately, and I don't like that feeling either.
Yeah. So
yeah,
know that if they are here at Picky Weeds, that we feel very strongly in their favor right now, and we feel like they're doing something legitimate for the community, and that they really do know what they're talking about. And they, you know, we've really tightened down as far as, you know, some random person come up, do you guys need a reader? No, we don't. No, we don't. And it's nothing against you. We don't know you.
Yeah. We like to get to know you before we invite you in the house.
And I am not exposing our community to anyone that could potentially harm them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that that's 100% foolproof either. That could still happen. But I have a very good feeling about who we have at the moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was just looking at pictures today of over the years at Picky Weeds, you know, like 4 years ago when we first started, and we were so naive, so full of ideals.
Yes.
Oh,
so happy, happy, joy, joy, shiny, shiny, shiny.
Yeah, and we had a lot of good times, and it was fun. But our thinking now is quite a bit more evolved, say, and I know 4 years from now we'll be even farther along, I hope.
The duty to protect is heavy on the shoulders right now.
Yeah.
I mean, especially now.
And it's... I can't stress this enough. This is not a political conversation, and I don't care what party you're in. I don't care. You need to really look and ask yourself, like Taya said, you know, ask yourself honestly, what bothers you?
Yes.
What bothers you?
And have that honest conversation with your neighbors.
You know, and take an honest look at what really is bothering you. And
don't attack them when they answer you with what's bothering them. Please stop that.
It needs to be
considerate.
It needs to be an actual conversation and not ad hominem and talking points. It needs to two people actually talking it out. And you'd be amazed what you learn. I've learned so much just by listening to them and what they have to say. Even though a lot of times when I talk, people are not hearing what they want to hear, or it's not exciting to them, and
you watch their eyes glaze over.
They start talking to somebody else while I'm talking to them. And it just makes me go, you know what? Okay,
I'm not talking to you anymore.
I'm done. But you know, to your point of talking about knock on the door and it'll be answered. Basically. Yeah. That was the way it was because in the 70s and 80s and even early 90s, especially if your location was in the South, but even in Michigan, it was very
violent.
You had to be very quiet.
Yeah.
You know, about what you believed. You could lose your job. You could
get drugged behind a truck for miles and hung on a fucking fence.
Yeah. You know, I mean so these are the places they want to take us back to, and we cannot allow that.
No.
We cannot allow that. And you cannot be apathetic and think, well, I'm just not going to take any action because I don't like either one of them either.
Yeah. But they felt forced too.
You know.
And that made them turn ugly.
Yeah.
And so we have to remember, folks, that we want freedoms and we want rights for each other, but we don't want to force those freedoms and rights on other people around us. And if they don't align with you, walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away. They just don't align with you. You don't have to stand there and admonish them and embarrass them publicly.
Yeah, they don't have to.
It's embarrassing enough when you walk away while they're talking.
Yeah, I see so many conversations just descend into ad hominem attacks, and you've automatically lost the argument the minute you start attacking somebody personally.
Yeah.
That's not the point. You're supposed to argue actual points, right? Like policies, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Laws that are being pushed through. You know, have a conversation about what bothers you about that.
Yes.
And the other party needs to actually listen and not just listen to respond.
Yeah.
You know, like actually listen. Consider what's being said.
Yeah.
Maybe they're full of shit.
Yeah.
And maybe you can give them examples as to why they're full of shit.
Yeah, but don't give them talking points, please. Give them examples.
But be prepared for someone to rebut your examples, because your examples may be rooted in propaganda too.
Yeah.
On either side, any side. We need to have honest conversations with each other without throwing insults and descending into junior high school arguments.
So my fear is that we will lose everything, and that you will no longer have John and I.
Yeah.
After January 20th. That this will go away, and you won't have this outlet anymore. And this is our living, folks. This is our income, period. And it's not a great one. We're struggling day to day, just like every other small business owner that I know of personally, with the exception to a handful.
Yep.
And it's a life and death struggle just to survive in this economy. And I know that's what's got the right so mad, is the economy. You know.
Oh, I'm mad too.
Yeah, I'm very upset.
Yeah, and it's bad. And you could make the argument that the first 2 years of the formers were beneficial, and the economy was better.
Yeah.
You know, I hear that argument.
Yeah.
What can we attribute that to the prior to him and the policies carrying over into the first 2 years?
Usually.
I don't know.
Usually.
I am not that so well versed that I can tell you one way or the other definitively.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was better. And since this one's been in office, it's been bad.
Yeah.
It's been really bad.
Gas prices, grocery prices, pharmaceutical prices.
Here's the point.
Whack.
It's not just bad here.
Yeah, it's bad the world around.
If it was bad just here, I would say that argument has merit. But it's bad everywhere.
Yes.
It's the entire world.
Yes, because we're talking to people in France and Spain and Ireland and London, and it's bad there. And the economy is woefully hard on everybody in every other country.
So we look at what may be the other potential cause, and that is, while everything was in COVID, all of these billionaires made more billions.
Yes.
All these big corporations and these powerful organizations made even more money than they've ever made. And then they all qualified for the assistance and relief loans that small businesses like ours did not qualify.
Yes.
And they took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Churches that don't pay any taxes got assistance.
Yes.
We didn't.
Twice.
And we pay tax after tax after tax after tax. We pay so much in taxes as a small business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So the real villain are the people that we have pointed to all along.
The oligarchs.
The people that are pushing their personal policies that will benefit their organization.
Yeah.
And making them law. Setting tax law to benefit them. Giving loopholes for themselves.
Yep.
This is the real enemy. And that's not Democrat or Republican. That's just
the real enemy,
the 1%
is the moneyed few.
Billionaire class. This caste system that we have in this country. This two-tiered justice system that we have in this country. You see these people break law after law after law after law, and if they get jail time, it's like 4 months.
Yeah. If it was us, we'd be in prison for 27 years. You know, it's like...
Whereas, you know, you have cops doing stop and frisk on people and fucking with people and pulling people over for nonsense and getting them in the system and ruining their fucking life.
Yeah.
It is a two-tiered system, and we need to recognize that the real enemy are these oligarchs, these American oligarchs. And there's no reason why anyone has $1 billion. You are not an ethical person making ethical business decisions, and your company and you have personally $1 billion.
And if you wonder what nobody is doing about it, you need to go look at the stock market for all of your legislators, senators, and congressmen on both sides of the frickin' aisle, and who they've got their money with, who they've got their stocks in.
We need an untouchables moment.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, this is the corruption that the mafia in the 40s and 50s could only dream of.
Yes.
You know, the
makes them look tame.
Prohibition racket had nothing on the racket that's going on here, because they're literally writing the laws to allow them to have free reign,
and it's both
with no consequence and no retribution. And while we're all busy arguing Democrat and Republican, we're not paying attention to what's happening up on the balcony.
They're sticking their hand in your wallet.
And this is the problem, is they're not being held accountable. So we truly need an untouchables moment. We need, if we can possibly find them, honest, ethical people to take over.
And to change the law.
You know,
no lobbying.
Pretty much everybody that's in office now, with the exception of very few, need to be replaced.
Yes.
Because if they weren't doing it, they were standing by and letting it happen.
Yes, they are.
And you're guilty either way.
Yeah.
And we need to replace all of them, regardless of the party.
I think this whole thing is collusion. Like dragging us to the precipice and letting us look over the cliff as we're about to be pushed and seeing what we'll do.
And maybe the old guys are right. Maybe it is just fear tactics and to get us all in a tizzy. Well, that doesn't negate the problem. The problem of them writing their own rules.
Yes.
And if those rules don't work out, they'll rewrite them again.
They should have to live on the salary of their constituency.
And you start a conspiracy campaign against your enemy and you get rid of them. The old game of politics. You know, you send some investigators out because everybody's got dirt on them no matter what. And you ruin their life and you continue on. You know, it's sickening the way that corporate America is destroying this country.
Yes.
And they're destroying it. They're parasites.
And they're doing it all around the world.
You know, you try to get people to buy local.
Yeah.
And you see people from the LGBTQ community walk in with Chick-fil-A bags. You know that's hate chicken, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, but I just really like it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But their money is going to your legislators to craft laws that take away your rights.
we all make fun of right-wing supporters voting against their own interests.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Both sides is rife.
You know, well, it doesn't matter. I spent $7. They don't give a shit. It's not going to make one difference. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Because if 10,000 of you have the same fucking idea, it does.
That's big money to some legislator that's going to craft some anti-LGBTQIA legislation.
How do you think they afford full-page ads in major publications?
Yeah.
How do you think they come up with corny-ass commercials to play every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
It's that $7 burger you bought just because you like their chicken.
Yeah.
Even though they're a hateful organization.
Yeah.
People have gone to all the trouble to make apps that point out which companies support what. It's very easy. It's free.
Yeah.
You just ignore it because, well, I like the chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't complain.
Eat your rights. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, and it's as simple as that. It's a simple protest by voting with your wallet.
Yeah.
Support the right people. And I'm not saying spend it all at Picky Weeds. Okay. There are small businesses everywhere in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area.
Yeah.
Support them all.
Yeah.
The ones that are there, the ones that are struggling, the ones that are trying to give a place.
Because it's actually their taxes that are supporting you.
There's only so many festivals you can do, and we have so many fucking festivals now that are cookie cutter. Everybody does the same shit. Support the businesses that have the overhead and that are there for you all the time,
and that are paying taxes that fund your schools,
and you'll see us.
Your children's
you'll see us recommend people that we know, and we don't get a dime from it. It's not paid advertising. It's just these are small businesses that do right by people. Yeah. Like we take our vehicles, and I'm going to give them a plug here at Dalton Garage. And I give them a plug on Facebook. I'm going to give them a plug here. Look, these guys have been in business for almost 50 years.
Yes.
It's just two guys in a shop.
And Abioko's a restaurant that supported one of our fundraisers.
Abioko's amazing. Armeta's amazing. Rosario's amazing. Yeah. These are the people that are in your community day in and day out. And they're people like you, give an alternative to a corporate store.
The other day I sent a customer to Willow Sunshine Boutique because it's the only child's boutique I know. They used to be all over the South, but she's the only one I know of in the area. So I was like, I love that. I think that's perfect.
I sent somebody to Kaylin of Earth yesterday because they were looking for Reiki, and we don't do Reiki anymore.
Yeah.
Because of past issues.
Yeah, yeah.
So we do trust Kaylin. Yeah. We know her well.
And we send people to Metaphysical all the time.
She's fabulous.
See Ramona.
Yeah. 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 Ramona's great.
Yeah.
We recommend them because we know them. Mm-hmm. And they've been amazing for a long period of time. Yep. Like they've shown that's who they are.
Yes.
It's not nonsense.
So we don't judge people on their words. And because people will say anything they think that will make them popular in the moment, or they will get, the soundbite shit. So if you want to know people, Let them show you. Their actions will show you exactly who they are. These people have shown us exactly who they are.
Like, we made a lot of enemies by establishing boundaries.
Yes.
A lot of people talk shit about us.
God, yes.
You know,
Read our names
picky
in the
weeds,
ground.
blah, blah, blah. Well, what's the alternative? That we allowed it to take place and continue?
Yeah.
When we knew full well that these people were shit?
Yeah, and they were harming people.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to happen here. Get out.
Sexually
Don't come back.
Yeah, you name it.
Don't come back. You can talk all you want. You're never coming back here.
Yeah.
And people should know that.
And I'll take the hit.
We're firm. You can talk all you want.
Yeah.
And if you're dumb enough to believe it, that's on you. Mm-hmm. But we got rid of them because of what they did.
Yes.
When they were given trust.
Yeah.
So they burnt that trust. And they can talk shit and stir up drama all they want. I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care. Mm-hmm. These boundaries are hard and fast, and they don't move.
Yeah.
You act like that here, you're done.
Because we are a literal designated safe space, and so we have a duty to protect you when you're here.
But boy, they're still talking shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Go right ahead.
Be angry.
You know,
go be in the moment.
What's it going to take to get in here? Nothing. Yeah. You're never going to get in here.
Yeah.
You're never going to get in here. Yeah. Ever.
Yeah.
You don't. I'm not even giving you the opportunity to screw up because I know what you are.
Yeah. And some of you, don't ever walk in the store again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever. You put your hands on people. Don't ever.
We have a duty to protect the people that walk through our doors, and we take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
So the people that are talking shit, would you prefer we did nothing? Mm-hmm. And just let it happen?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to happen.
Because it could happen to you, while you're over there judging us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were protecting you too, by the way.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Pretty much.
It's that simple.
When you get hurt, don't come crying to me to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's...
You're done.
Yeah, it's so funny, but that's the one way you find out who your people are. It's when you set boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
You find out who your respectful and decent people are when they go, God, I get that. I so get that. I understand your need for that.
I've had people that I went to school with that still think I'm the same guy 17 years old in Millington, Michigan.
Yes, they always do.
I'm like, what? And they're running off in their mouth. I can't believe you did that. Dude, that was 40 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, aren't you supposed to grow? Isn't the point of this whole thing to evolve?
I knew you peaked in high school.
It was the 4 best years of your life.
Oh, you're super popular.
Yeah.
Okay. No, fuck you. Boundary. Bye. Cut off.
Wouldn't want to be you. Yeah.
It's that simple. And you hate to do that because you kind of talk to them because you were hoping to rekindle that friendship.
Yeah.
But this person is still stuck in 1988.
Yeah. And they still expect you to act and react the same way.
I'm like, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm not the person I was a year ago.
You don't want to see the person I was 40 years ago. Oh, my God.
But
I was a mess.
Just glad you two didn't exist back then.
Oh, my God.
But,
remember the baseball bat?
Yeah.
I know you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a train wreck. I was an absolute train wreck. Oh.
This one.
Oh. The train has left the station.
But I think we just wanted to speak to this because people get so wrapped up in it and they keep thinking it's a political conversation. And it's not. It's not anymore. I miss the days when we could argue about whether we should spend money on infrastructure or not, or whether we should, it has devolved to the point now where we're in very dangerous territory, guys.
Yes.
And if you like being a practicing pagan, if you like being open with the person that you love and who you are and who you identify as, then you really need to stand on your feet and don't sit on the sidelines.
Yes.
You need to get active. And if active just means registering to vote and taking your ass to the voting booth and casting that vote, and not just for the federal election, but for the state and local elections too.
Because those really are what matter.
It really is that important.
Yeah.
And, I know sometimes it's hard. They should give us the day off work. And so many people have to work. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Early vote. Yeah.
Do what you got to do. Please get out there and vote. And don't let these people dissuade you. And don't let the mainstream media dissuade you into thinking that you don't matter or you don't count. Because you do. You do count. Your voice counts. Every person's voice counts in this.
Yes. And call your brothers and sisters if you get to those polls and there are people there trying to persuade you to leave. Call your brothers and sisters and let us all know. So we will come and stand with you.
We live less than a mile from the voting area here in the Summit.
Yeah.
And I've never, ever had an issue there.
No, not at all.
We have had issues in the South voting.
Yes.
Because
intimidation.
they allow them to be right at the door. At least they did back in the day. And you had to walk a gauntlet of people trying to, it was like walking through Vegas on the Strip, constantly trying to put shit in your hand, trying to talk to you, want to know how you vote, want to know all this. It's not their fucking business.
Yeah.
Just keep walking.
Yeah.
Just keep walking.
Just don't even look at them.
You know?
Don't engage and keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never seen it at our polling place. It's always been very professional and very well run, and they don't put up with any bullshit.
You remember down south there was this one chick that the husband went to West Point. Remember that? And they were running for office. Yeah. And she was walking up and down in front of the polling booth with a baseball bat. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to kneecap that bitch so bad.
Yeah. These people are deranged.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't understand that they themselves can be looped into this too.
Yeah.
You think you're safe because
you're not.
Your skin tone is right and your sexual orientation is right, so to speak, so it fits the criteria.
Yep.
But you're not safe.
You're not safe. You're not safe anywhere.
You're not safe.
Try to remember that.
Oh, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. And that's the problem. People don't care about anything until it directly impacts them. And you need to, because it can impact you.
Yes.
Because once they take care of one, you think they're going to stop?
Mm-mm.
No, they will subjugate you. And the amount of women voting for this blows my mind.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. What is wrong with you?
Well, they don't believe it. Because, the social media has hired far-right Republican organizations to fact check.
Yeah.
And the fact check, like the 40-hour fact check, the not working overtime, they said they didn't say that. No, they didn't say that. What they said was that the employers would have the right to do what they did to us in the South, and you worked over 40 hours this week, so you're only getting 32 next week.
Yeah, that's been done to me a lot working down there. I hate that.
So what this comes down to is union busting.
Yep.
So they're all about trying to union bust so that all these employers will have carte blanche to treat you any damn way they want to because you're employed by them. That's what it's called to be in a right-to-work state. You're in a right-to-work state here. I was in a right-to-work state in the South. In other states, there's actually this, this interesting law where they can't do that, and workers have rights. Okay? But they're trying to make sure those states go away and those rights go away. And so that's in the language. But it does equate to you not being able to work overtime. Semantics be damned, and damn you, dispatch. It is what it is. They are doing away with overtime. Don't care what you say. Is when you cut my hours next week, I've made less money next week, which negates the overtime that I earned. Yeah.
It just cheats you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the many things that we need to reform.
Yes.
This is supposedly a government by the people for the people, but it's basically by the people for the corporation.
Yep. There you go. That's the mouthful right there.
And we need to stop that. And look, I don't have anything against corporate being a successful business. I've been involved and worked very hard to make the corporation that I work for very successful.
Yeah.
I did everything I could over and above my job description. I was doing 4 or 5 job descriptions for the same money as one. But I did it because I was there. It's not that. That is a problem. You should be paid for each job that you do. Yes. But I get it. Sometimes you have to pitch in.
Yeah.
Okay. I completely understand. I'm not denigrating for that. And the corporation that I work for actually, for the most part, did pay their fair share and did try to do the right things. But they're not all like that.
No.
They're not all like that. And I'm who knows the things that I wasn't aware of that happened. I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. I know from my personal experience, ethics was a big deal.
Yes.
And doing the right thing the right way for the right reason was very, very important in our corporate culture. Yeah. That is the exception.
Yes.
Not the norm.
Not the norm at all.
Because I worked for the norm a whole lot before then and just crazy stuff. But the team that I worked for, the supervision that I had, though they weren't perfect, they made mistakes. They're human. For the most part, try to do the right thing. And they try to do right by people. When they had an employee that was injured or lost, they dropped everything, and the crisis team went into full battle mode. to try to not only help their employee, but to reach out to the employee's family and let them know that they were doing everything in their power, which was considerable power.
Yes.
To make sure that their loved one was safe and accounted for, and that they were informed as to what was going on. That's a responsible corporate culture. Yeah. And that's what I was a part of prior to here.
They're very rare.
Were they perfect? No. No, they weren't. But at least in their core principles, they really tried to uphold them. And the people that you interacted with on the daily, for the most part, supported that mission too.
Yeah.
And so that was a very rare occurrence. Again, the exception, not the norm.
Yeah.
But I guess we're getting close to open time, so I got to stop flapping my gums.
We are, but I do want to say one thing. I just saw something from Booker T. Washington that I think merits saying.
Nice.
A lie doesn't become truth. Wrong does not become right. And evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority. And that's what you guys are looking at right now. We cannot condone this evil just because there's a majority of people saying it. And we must stand against it together to protect one another. Because at the end of the day, people, we are one species. And we owe it to each other to make sure that we're safe and that our families have the freedom and the right to love whom they love and to be who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we love you. And we hope you have a wonderful week. And we hope you think long and hard about what it is that scares you. And we hope that you talk to your neighbors about it. And that you actually have a conversation and not a shouting match.
By her hand.
By his hand. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Weeds, and we hope you didn't have to pick too much pucker brush off your cloak after visiting with us here. If you liked the episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. And if you're really kind, leave a positive review. Be sure to tune in next week as we publish a new episode weekly. If you're in the area, stop by the store and see us. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.